All right, welcome back. On this video, I'm just going to kind of ad lib or just kind of talk a little bit. Um, there's been several times where I've either listened to podcast or even just kind of thinking back on my past history, my life, some of the decisions that I've made, and I think sometimes we just need to be like more kind to ourselves, and that's really the only thing I can really say. So like there's some things I really regret having either done or not done uh, when I was younger, um, and this can kind of go everything, like relationships. It could be like and I'm going to try my best to not get political, but the way I thought about the world is not the way that I see the world today. The things that I thought were cool or uh, something to aspire to is not, you know, any even remotely what I think today. And I cannot compare myself today with myself 20 years ago. Um, had I had a time machine, absolutely, I'd probably go back and try to convince myself. But to be quite honest, I probably wouldn't listen to myself. Um, yeah, and it's really what it comes down to. Like, why, besides the normal stuff where I grew up and matured and changed, like, I can, you know, see problems. I can, there's things, going on in the world that like are legit problems, and I don't think, uh, I would have even if I was like, I'm 47 now, even if I was 47 years old back in the 90s, I don't even think it would have registered. Uh, and what's changed? We, uh, in the 90s, say up until 90, I graduated high school in 96. When I first went to college, they were teaching us how to use the internet. Now, granted, or how to get on the internet and use a web browser. Now, granted, I had a computer for probably 2 or 3 years before that, and had those little discs, AOL discs, and dial-up internet, and I can get onto a few things, um, but we don't have near the amount of information uh, then that we have now. Um, generally, like you just kind of believed everything you were told and saw because you didn't even have the ability to see the counter argument or the videos of this guy saying, X is bad, and then behind the scenes he's doing X, whatever that thing is. Uh, it, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, because like the kids growing up, if they're being formed correctly and have like good parents, because there's a lot of bad people out there. They have so much more ability, and this is why, like, so much more ability to be so quicker or so much smarter, so much faster, but just because the information is actually there. Uh, like I think we'll just use this as an example. I wished I would have homeschooled my kids the entire time, not just when the world shut down and all that stuff. Like perfect example, like when we had all the lockdowns, and my youngest daughter, she was still in high school. Uh, she it's kind of wishy-washy. She wasn't really doing school, and eventually it got to the point, and I wasn't paying attention probably as much as I should, even though I was working from home. Um, but eventually we got like a letter or something, an email that was saying, "Hey, she's falling really, really behind. She needs to catch up on like I think it was 6 weeks or 2 months, maybe even 3 months. And I grabbed her, sat her down, talked about this, and said, hey, this is important. You need to do your work, finish it, and finish it well. She did the entire 3 months in like a week. That's it. And it was all it was assignments, and she got nothing out of it. And that was almost an entire semester. And then she made it up in a week. And so, case in point, like I don't think like if I had a kid still in elementary school, um, besides just a lot of like reading, actively reading to the child, having them watch my fingers as I read, having them encouraging them to read, maybe doing baseline phonics, math manipulation, counting, I don't know, crackers or potato chips or something like Cheerios. Um, I probably would start them later. I would probably, you could probably, especially when they're young, like first grade, second grade, third grade, or whatever, uh, 2, maybe 3 hours. That's about it. And not even like a straight 3 hours. Probably do a subject, go play. Do another subject for 30 minutes, go play. And just all that stuff accumulates, and then you reinforce it the entire time. Um, I kind of, because I'm interested in stuff like that. There's all sorts of curriculum out. There's all sorts of, like, you can research or you can watch, learn off of YouTube and off the internet, the different types of homeschooling, you know, weigh the pros and cons on, Charlotte Mason versus unschooling versus, whatever the flavor is. That didn't even exist. It probably did, but you would have to find some esoteric book in a library that's just collecting dust. You, homeschooling wasn't as popular back then, um, and just the opportunities and the ability to even find out that information just wasn't even there. So, like, the only thing I can kind of think of is, I kind of regret and have some remorse, but sometimes, and that's just one example. Um, I just I have to just be kind to myself and not. There's really nothing even to forgive. Uh, I just didn't have the ability. The stuff didn't exist, and that's why I'm kind of saying, to a point, kids now have so much more opportunities um, to kind of do whatever. And going back on some of my other videos, I think now from now until probably a long time, I think having the ability to be mobile and the ability to move, whether that's whether that's you being kind of able to work from home or being a digital nomad, or owning your own business. I think those are going to be very, very important. If and that doesn't mean like you're living in an apartment or from your backpack or something like that. Like if you're a farmer or like a rancher, the ability, like, you're not tied to like working for an employee. If you have the farm, you're not tied to working for an employer and he's making you come in at 5 in the morning to milk the cows or whatever they do on the farms and ranches. You work for yourself, and when you work for yourself, it's much easier and kind of, again, double-edged sword. But it's much easier to invest the time and effort in yourself when you're working for yourself. Uh, exact same scenario. You just maybe happen to rent or live on the farm, and you're working for a farmer. Not even remotely the same. Um, but yeah, young people, like, they can. They're in some ways they're just as smart and wise as like 40 and 50-year olds, is because they've seen the same videos on TikTok or X or pick your social media. They've seen some of the stuff just as many years as the 40s and 50-year-olds. And people are good at picking up patterns. You start seeing the same BS over and over again from politicians, and the same stories, or the same people trying to sell the same BS. And when you look at it and it's like, okay, well, that guy's a hypocrite, that guy's a hypocrite, that guy's a hypocrite, or this you know thing that they're selling online doesn't do anything, that doesn't do anything, that doesn't do anything. They it's there. It's been out there for 5 years. 20-year-old can see that 5 years just as easy as a 40 and 50-year-old, and we see the same patterns and bullshit. I would say the older you are, the quicker you are at probably picking up on some of those patterns. But that doesn't mean that that 15-year-old, if he sees that the world is just full of poop, full of shit, and people just want to be entertained, why wouldn't they create a TikTok channel or X or Red Note, whatever the stuff is out there, and make a fool of themselves? Because it's not even necessarily the information economy anymore; it's the attention economy. And if you can get enough eyeballs on your videos and channels, then those social medias and the channels and whatever, it'll pay you. Whether the stuff you're spouting or putting on the internet is actually of any value. It's not like a 15-year-old is going to get on there and start spouting off calculus. I mean, maybe they are, but like on the grand scheme of things, they're not pushing the envelope in the calculus or the mathematical world on new and interesting ways to solve formulas. But if that 20-year-old or 15-year-old sees all these other 15, 20-year-olds like podcast, or was it a Tide Pod challenge, and the guy makes $1,000 off a video for the Tide Pod challenge. Why wouldn't he do something just as dumb? Because at the end of the day, like, he's getting paid, and he can wake up whenever he wants. He can go to sleep whenever he wants. He can do it wherever he wants. He doesn't have to ask a boss or an employer, hey, can I take some vacation? No, he just does it. And that's what I'm talking about. Why being mobile and have the ability to kind of do your job whenever you want, however you want, on your own terms. That's it's important. So that's just kind of a rant. I don't know. Maybe I'm just out of my mind, but I don't think so. So, like, comment, subscribe. I'm sure I'll go on one of these diatribes every now and then. But yeah, if you want to leave some comments to kind of go back and forth, I appreciate it. And maybe I'll address, depending on if I get any or how many, I'll address some of those things in the next video. So, okay. Well, thanks for stopping by. I will see you in the next one. All right, bye-bye.